The struggle of a dreamer. At a young age, Ed Sheeran didn't look like the person who would go on to conquer the world with his music. If anything, he appeared to be just another awkward kid with big dreams that seemed far too distant. His family lived in Framlingham, Suffolk, in the UK, a place where dreams didn't seem to soar very high. From the outside, it was a quiet, unremarkable town, and Ed's life mirrored that unremarkable feel. But if you took a closer look, you'd see something extraordinary brewing under the surface, something that nobody else could see yet. Ed was born with a distinct set of challenges. He was a small, red-haired child with big, clunky glasses, a birthmark on his face, and perhaps most notably, a stutter. These were traits that during his early years made him a target for bullies. He was different, and kids, especially the ones who didn't understand, tend to treat different as a weakness. Every day, Ed faced ridicule for his appearance and his speech. His classmates teased him relentlessly for the way he looked, and even more so for the way he struggled to speak clearly. One of the pivotal moments of his childhood occurred after a botched surgery when he was very young. The procedure, meant to remove a birthmark, left Ed with a permanent stutter. He tried to hide it, but it became yet another reason for him to feel self-conscious. His peers didn't care about his struggles or understand the depth of his discomfort. To them, he was just a boy to mock, an easy target to bully. His family didn't have much money, and the image of the boy with the oversized glasses and awkward gait became a symbol for everything that was wrong. But in the midst of this torment, there was one thing that stood out: music. When Ed was just a child, he began exploring the world of sound and melody. His love for music took root early on. At 4 years old, he began playing the guitar, and by the time he was 11, he was performing in local church halls. Music was his escape, his solace from the painful reality of being different. When he was younger, it didn't matter that he wasn't good at sports, that he was an outcast among his peers. What mattered was that when he picked up the guitar, something deep inside him clicked. He felt alive. He could forget the taunts and focus only on the music. But it wasn't just the guitar. He began to experiment with writing his own lyrics, drawing inspiration from the emotions he couldn't articulate with words. He poured his soul into his music, and soon that became his personal sanctuary. Yet even with this passion and talent, Ed still faced a battle every single day. By his teenage years, Ed's self-confidence had taken such a hit that he was afraid to speak in public, let alone perform in front of others. He still remembered how cruel the world had been to him, and how each failure felt like a confirmation that he wasn't meant for greatness. But fate had other plans. One day, his father brought home a gift: an album by the legendary rapper Eminem. It was a turning point in Ed's life. Listening to Eminem's rapid-fire delivery on tracks like The Real Slim Shady and Stan, Ed realized something profound. If Eminem could speak with such confidence, if he could control his words and his delivery, then maybe Ed could do the same. Maybe he could overcome his stutter too. So Ed immersed himself in Eminem's music. He didn't just listen to it. He memorized every lyric. He practiced rapping along, challenging himself to keep up with Eminem's lightning-fast flow. It was exhausting, frustrating, and at times disheartening. But the more he rapped, the better he became. Slowly, his stutter began to disappear. He was learning to take control of his voice, to use it in a way he never thought possible. The stammer that had plagued him for so long was fading away, replaced by something new: confidence. The power of music to transform was undeniable. It didn't just give Ed a voice, it gave him an identity. He no longer felt like an outsider, but rather like someone who had something valuable to offer the world. And it was through this personal transformation that Ed made a decision that would change the course of his life forever. The struggles of a dreamer. As Ed entered his teenage years, he knew he had to take a leap of faith. But it wasn't going to be easy. At the age of 14, Ed decided he would move to London to pursue his music career. He felt the call of the city, the heartbeat of the music world, But the reality of that decision wasn't glamorous. It was far from it. London's vastness was daunting. The opportunities were endless, but so were the obstacles. Ed found himself homeless for 2.5 years, with nowhere to go and little to survive on. His dreams seemed impossibly far away. Some nights, he didn't have enough money for food. Other nights, he had to sleep in the cold, under bridges or on benches. He spent his days playing gigs at open mics and trying to make connections with anyone who would listen. By night, he would catch a few hours of sleep on the Circle Line trains, only to wake up and do it all over again. The fear of giving up haunted him constantly, but there was something inside him that refused to let go of his dream. Living on the streets outside Buckingham Palace, Ed would sneak into an archway near the heating duct, desperate for warmth. He remembers the bitter cold of those nights, the endless hours spent wandering the streets, unsure of where he would sleep the next day. But despite these hardships, Ed kept going. He was willing to sacrifice everything, his comfort, his security, his very well-being, for the chance to pursue his passion. But in those tough years, Ed learned something incredibly valuable. It wasn't just about the success. It was about the journey. He realized that success didn't come easy for anyone. Even the most famous artists had to struggle, to fight through the toughest moments of their lives to reach their goals. It wasn't enough to just be talented. You had to work relentlessly, even when the odds were against you. Every rejection, every hardship, was just part of the process. His perseverance began to pay off when he started posting videos of himself performing online. It was this bold move that connected him to rapper Example, who became a mentor of sorts, offering him opportunities to tour and perform in front of bigger audiences. But Ed was still far from where he wanted to be. His music was gaining attention, but the road to success was still long and unpredictable. One of the most crucial moments in Ed's journey occurred when he moved to Los Angeles. He had no connections, no place to stay, and no guarantee of success. But he knew he couldn't afford to be afraid anymore. He continued sending his music to anyone who would listen. Despite his best efforts, nothing seemed to materialize. Until one day, everything changed. After a performance on a local radio show, Ed was noticed by Jamie Foxx's manager, who was so impressed with Ed's talent that he introduced him to the actor. Jamie Foxx, seeing something special in Ed, invited him to stay in his home and use his personal recording studio. This chance encounter was the breakthrough Ed needed. It was the moment his life began to shift. From that point on, things began to fall into place. Ed's debut album, Plus, topped charts around the world, and his career skyrocketed. The triumph of persistence. Today, Ed Sheeran is one of the best-selling musicians in the world, with hit albums like Multiply and Divide, and countless awards to his name. His songs have touched millions, and his story is a testament to the power of perseverance. But his success didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of struggle, sacrifice, and unwavering belief in himself. Ed's journey is proof that no matter where you start, no matter how difficult the road may seem, persistence pays off. His success came from embracing his uniqueness and never giving up, even when things seemed impossible. The bully boy with the stutter, the awkward teenager without a home, became a global superstar not because of luck, but because he refused to quit. So, what can we take away from Ed's story? The most important lesson is this: no dream is too big, no obstacle is too great if you have the courage to push through. The setbacks, the failures, the rejections, they're all part of the journey. But the key is to keep moving forward, one step at a time. You never know when the next opportunity will come, or how close you are to your breakthrough. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Take that first step, even if it scares you. The journey may be long, but with each step you take, you're one step closer to realizing your dreams. And who knows, maybe one day, the world will hear your story and find inspiration in your perseverance, just like we did with Ed Sheeran. The leap into the unknown. When Ed Sheeran made the bold decision to leave his small, quiet town of Framlingham for the bustling streets of London, he knew it was a gamble. He was just 14 years old, a teenager full of ambition, but weighed down by the uncertainty of his future. London was a world away from the comfort of his home, an overwhelming metropolis filled with thousands of people chasing the same dream, each of them struggling to be seen in a city that often ate up the dreams of the hopeful. But Ed wasn't about to be discouraged. His heart was set on one thing: making music his life. The decision wasn't easy, and it wasn't an easy life once he made it. Ed didn't have the luxury of a safety net. His family didn't have enough money to support him, and he knew he couldn't rely on anyone but himself. For a young boy so far from home, the weight of that responsibility could have crushed him. Yet he pushed forward with a relentless spirit, convinced that somewhere in the chaos of London there was a chance for him, a sliver of opportunity that could be his ticket to success. The first reality he faced upon arriving in London was the cold, harsh truth of how difficult the city could be for someone without a place to stay or money to survive. Ed had nowhere to live, and no place to call home. There were nights when he found himself wandering the streets, uncertain of where he would sleep, without the comfort of a warm bed or even a roof over his head. In those early days, Ed slept wherever he could, sometimes on park benches, other times in the cold, uninviting corners of train stations. The chill of winter and the endless hours of loneliness became a constant companion. Yet Ed refused to let them define him. He was homeless for 2.5 years. Imagine being just a teenager, living in a city that never stops moving, with no one to turn to and no clear path to follow. The emotional toll of those years was immense. There were nights when he didn't have enough money for food, times when he felt completely lost in the vastness of the city. Yet, amidst the struggle, Ed kept going, determined to make his dreams a reality. He spent his days playing his guitar and performing at any venue that would take him. The venues were small, and the crowds were often indifferent, but each performance, no matter how insignificant it seemed at the time, brought him closer to his goal. He wasn't just playing music. He was learning, evolving, and pushing through the harsh realities of life. The key to his survival wasn't just talent, it was his refusal to give up. Even when everything seemed to be against him, he found a way to continue. One of the most difficult challenges Ed faced was the isolation that came with his situation. He was in a new city, alone, and struggling to make ends meet. The people he met during these years didn't always understand his vision or see the potential in his music. There were moments of deep loneliness when he questioned if his dream was even worth the sacrifice. He could have returned home, taken the easy route, and given up on his musical aspirations. But deep down, Ed knew he wasn't like most people. He wasn't content with simply existing. He wanted to create something that would resonate with the world, something meaningful, something bigger than himself. It was in these moments of loneliness and uncertainty that Ed learned the most valuable lessons of his life. He learned to be resourceful, to find ways to survive, and most importantly, to trust in his craft. He would sleep on the Circle Line trains, a few hours here and there, trying to catch up on sleep before heading back out to perform. He would find warmth in the small moments, in the fleeting seconds of safety and security, and use those moments to fuel his passion for music. Ed wasn't just fighting for survival, he was fighting for his future. The irony of it all was that while Ed's life in London was a struggle, it was also where he was beginning to plant the seeds of his future success. His time on the streets of London helped shape the artist he would become. It taught him resilience, perseverance, and the unwavering belief that every hardship was a stepping stone toward something greater. He realized that success would not be handed to him. It would have to be earned through hard work, persistence, and an unrelenting will to succeed. Despite the setbacks and challenges, there were moments that began to change the trajectory of his journey. Ed found solace in writing music. He continued to pour his emotions into his lyrics, transforming the pain of his circumstances into something beautiful. His songs, raw and real, began to attract a small but loyal following. He wasn't famous, but he was starting to make a name for himself. His performances started to draw more attention, and the small venues he played in began to fill with people who appreciated his unique sound. Still, the breakthrough he desperately needed remained elusive. Ed had to keep pushing forward, continuing to post videos of his performances online, hoping that one day someone important would notice him. That day came when he posted a video that caught the attention of Example, a UK rapper who had already built a successful career. Example saw something in Ed's music, a raw, untapped talent that had the potential to take the world by storm. He reached out to Ed, offering him the opportunity to join him on tour. This was the first real break Ed had been waiting for. It was a stepping stone that would lead to bigger things, but it didn't mean the struggle was over. Ed still had to prove himself. He wasn't a household name yet, and his path was far from certain. But with each step forward, Ed felt his confidence grow. He was no longer the homeless, struggling teenager on the streets of London. He was an artist on the rise, someone with a story to tell and the talent to back it up. What began as a simple chance encounter with a rapper turned into a series of connections that helped Ed grow his fan base and career. The small gigs, the street performances, the nights spent in the cold, they all began to pay off in ways Ed could never have imagined when he first set foot in London. Slowly, his name was becoming known. Slowly, the dream was becoming a reality. But Ed wasn't done yet. He knew he couldn't rest on his laurels. The road to success had been long, and the journey was far from over. He had learned one of the most important lessons in life. Nothing worthwhile comes easily, and for Ed, the pursuit of greatness was just beginning. The climb toward greatness. When Ed Sheeran moved to Los Angeles, he was at a crossroads. He had made some headway with his music career, but he wasn't yet the household name he would later become. The decision to leave London and head across the ocean was an incredibly risky one, a leap into an even bigger unknown. But for Ed, it felt like the natural next step. He knew that if he wanted to make it to the highest heights of the music world, he couldn't afford to sit back and wait for success to come to him. He had to chase it. Los Angeles was a world that felt both intimidating and exhilarating. It was the epicenter of the global entertainment industry, where dreams were made and shattered in the blink of an eye. But this was a new challenge Ed was willing to take on. However, there was one problem. He had no connections, no place to stay, and no guarantee that anyone would even listen to his music. All he had was his guitar, his lyrics, and a burning desire to be heard. For many, this would have been a deal-breaker. The fear of rejection, the lack of safety, and the uncertainty of it all would have been enough to send most people running back to the comfort of home. But Ed wasn't like most people. He had already fought through too much to turn back now. He spent his first days in LA sending his music to every producer, manager, and record label he could find. He emailed his songs, posted videos online, and performed wherever he could, no matter how small the venue. Yet despite his efforts, he was met with silence. No callbacks, no offers. It felt like the city was indifferent to his dreams. But instead of giving up, Ed doubled down. He found himself performing in small clubs, bars, and open mic nights in Los Angeles, doing anything he could to get his music in front of people. He played in front of empty rooms, performing with the same passion as if he were playing in front of thousands. He was on the brink of exhaustion, physically and emotionally drained from the constant hustle, but he kept pushing forward, knowing that success wasn't going to fall into his lap. It wasn't about overnight fame. It was about grinding it out, day after day, no matter how tough it got. The breakthrough Ed had been waiting for finally came when he was invited to perform on the show of a local radio host. The opportunity was small, but it was the kind of platform that could make a difference. When Ed took the stage, he was nervous, unsure if he was ready for such a big moment. But as soon as he started playing, something incredible happened. The crowd, which was skeptical at first, was completely captivated by his performance. There was something about his voice, something raw and authentic that resonated with them. The applause that followed wasn't just polite, it was genuine admiration. But what happened next was even more life-changing. Jamie Foxx, the renowned actor and musician, was in the audience that day. He had heard Ed's music, and like so many others, he was taken by it. After the performance, Jamie Foxx's manager reached out to Ed, impressed by what he had seen. The following day, Ed found himself sitting in a meeting with Jamie Foxx himself, who was so moved by his music that he offered Ed a place to stay in his home and access to his private recording studio. This moment, this encounter, was the catalyst for everything that would come next in Ed's career. Jamie Foxx's support was invaluable. Not only did he provide Ed with a place to stay and resources to record his music, but he also served as a mentor, guiding Ed through the complexities of the music industry. With Jamie's backing, Ed was able to record and refine his songs, bringing his unique sound to the next level. This was the first time Ed had been given the kind of professional support he needed, and it pushed him closer to his dream. But even with this newfound opportunity, Ed wasn't going to sit back and relax. He knew that this was just the beginning, and that he had to work harder than ever. He poured his heart and soul into his music, perfecting his craft, writing new songs, and experimenting with different sounds. He continued to perform, and with every gig, he built more momentum. His reputation was growing, but the road was still long. In September 2011, Ed's debut album Plus, pronounced Plus, was released. The world wasn't ready for what Ed Sheeran had to offer. The album topped the UK charts, reached number 5 in the US, and was met with widespread critical acclaim. Songs like The A-Team and Lego House became instant hits, not just because of their catchy melodies, but because they told deeply personal stories that resonated with listeners on an emotional level. Ed's ability to mix heartfelt lyrics with unique rhythms was unlike anything the world had seen before. He wasn't just a musician, he was a storyteller, and his stories captivated millions. But even with the success of Plus, Ed knew the journey wasn't over. He had spent years struggling to make a name for himself, and he wasn't about to let the fame and success that followed cloud his vision. His second album, Multiply, released in 2014, cemented his place in the music industry. The album was a massive hit, selling more than 8 million copies worldwide and establishing Ed Sheeran as one of the best-selling artists of all time. The world was starting to recognize the genius behind the ginger-haired singer-songwriter. But Ed wasn't done yet. In 2017, Ed released Divide, an album that would change everything. Divide was a global sensation, breaking records with 3.1 billion streams in its first year alone. The album received numerous accolades, including the Grammy Award for Song of the Year for his smash hit, Shape of You. This track became one of the most streamed songs of all time, and it was clear that Ed Sheeran had reached the pinnacle of success. He was no longer the unknown artist performing in small clubs. He was a global superstar, with millions of fans around the world who saw in him the same thing he had seen in Eminem all those years ago: a voice, a story, and a relentless drive to succeed. But throughout all his achievements, Ed never forgot where he came from. He never lost sight of the struggles he had faced or the lessons he had learned. His rise to fame wasn't the result of luck or a fluke. It was the product of years of hard work, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in his music. Ed Sheeran's journey was never easy, but it was his passion and dedication that turned a bullied, homeless teenager into one of the biggest names in music. The power of persistence. The story of Ed Sheeran's rise to success is not just one of fame. It's a story of persistence in the face of adversity. It's a reminder that the road to success is rarely a straight line, and that the struggles and setbacks you face are part of the process. Ed could have given up at any point along the way. When he was homeless in London, when he was rejected by record labels, or when it seemed like the world was indifferent to his music. But instead of quitting, he kept pushing forward, step by step, gig by gig, until his dream became a reality. And that's the lesson we can all take away from Ed's journey. Success doesn't come easily, but with passion, dedication, and a relentless spirit, it's possible to turn even the most difficult challenges into stepping stones toward your dreams. The triumph of true belief. As Ed Sheeran stood at the top of the charts, his name now synonymous with global success, it was easy for the world to assume that the boy who once slept on trains and busked on the streets of London had arrived effortlessly. But for those who followed his journey from the beginning, the truth was clear. Ed's success was no accident. It was the culmination of years of struggle, countless rejections, and a tireless belief in his own talent. The boy who once couldn't find a place to stay had now created a world where his music echoed through stadiums across the globe. But reaching the pinnacle didn't mean Ed could rest on his laurels. Success, as he quickly learned, is never static. It is a continuous cycle of growth, reinvention, and hard work. Despite his newfound fame, Ed's relentless work ethic remained as strong as ever. He never stopped pushing boundaries or challenging himself creatively. He wasn't interested in repeating what had already been done. He wanted to constantly evolve, grow, and surprise the world with new sounds and stories. One of the first signs that Ed was different from many other successful artists was his unwillingness to be controlled by the expectations that came with his success. While many stars were content to rest on their past achievements, Ed was driven by a desire to continue carving out his own path. His third album, Divide, released in 2017, reflected this drive. The album wasn't just an extension of his previous work, it was a declaration of his growth as an artist. It featured a diverse range of songs, from the chart-topping, infectious rhythms of Shape of You to the heartfelt ballads like Perfect. Each track showcased Ed's evolution as a musician and storyteller. The entire album felt like an extension of his journey, one that was ever-changing, yet deeply rooted in his authenticity. For Ed, Divide was a metaphor for the very essence of his career. It symbolized the constant balancing act between fame and privacy, ambition and humility. While he had climbed to the highest heights of the music industry, Ed remained grounded, never forgetting the struggles that got him there. He made it clear in interviews that he wanted to remain connected to his roots. He didn't want to become someone who was distant or untouchable. He didn't want to be known only for his music. He wanted to be remembered for his humanity, his ability to remain true to himself despite the overwhelming pressure of success. One of the most striking aspects of Ed's rise is that, despite his fame, he has consistently been able to maintain a sense of authenticity. He didn't let the trappings of success, luxury cars, expensive clothes, and lavish parties distract him from his true passion. His music, always heartfelt and personal, has resonated with millions of people precisely because it reflects his own vulnerabilities. Ed's lyrics have always been raw, often drawn from his own experiences of love, loss, and personal struggle. This connection to the audience is what has made him not just a pop star, but a true artist whose work transcends the superficial nature of fame. But even as Ed's fame reached unprecedented heights, he never lost sight of the people who helped him get there. His family and friends, his mentors like Jamie Foxx, and his fans. Ed knew that none of it would have been possible without them. There was an unmistakable humility in Ed's rise. Unlike many who might have become jaded or consumed by the pressures of fame, Ed's humility only deepened with time. His success didn't turn him into someone else. It simply gave him the platform to share his story with the world on a larger scale. It was through this authenticity that Ed was able to reach even more people who, like him, had struggled, felt alone, or been cast aside. His music became a soundtrack for those who faced their own battles, a source of comfort and inspiration. The fact that someone who had once been bullied and homeless could now perform in front of sold-out stadiums was proof that dreams can be realized, even when the odds seem impossible. His success became a living testament to the power of persistence, of believing in something so deeply that no obstacle could deter you from your path. However, Ed's story didn't stop with his own success. Throughout his career, he has used his platform not only to uplift others, but also to make a positive impact on the world. He has been vocal about causes close to his heart, from helping young musicians break into the industry to supporting charities focused on homelessness and poverty. He has used his wealth and influence not to indulge in excess, but to give back, to pay forward the kindness and support he received when he was just starting out. One of the most important aspects of Ed's career is his ability to inspire others to follow their own dreams. He knows better than anyone how easy it is to give up when the road ahead seems uncertain, when rejection feels like an insurmountable wall, when the weight of failure threatens to pull you under. Yet, through his own example, he shows that perseverance pays off, that the path to success is never straight, but the rewards are worth the struggle. Ed's legacy, then, is not just about the incredible music he has created or the countless awards he has won. It's about the message he shares with the world, that success doesn't come from luck, but from hard work, resilience, and the refusal to quit in the face of adversity. His story proves that no matter where you come from or what you've been through, you have the ability to change your life and create something beautiful. The dreams that might seem too big, too impossible, are often the ones worth chasing most. What's even more powerful about Ed's journey is that it's not over. He has reached incredible heights, but he continues to dream bigger, to challenge himself and his craft, and to inspire millions of people around the world. His career is a reminder that success isn't just about achieving a goal. It's about the relentless pursuit of improvement, the continuous evolution of oneself, and the belief that there is always something more to achieve. The real power of dreams. Ed Sheeran's rise to success isn't just an individual story, it's a universal one. It speaks to the power of believing in yourself, even when the world doesn't believe in you. It's a testament to the strength that comes from facing adversity head-on, from continuing to move forward even when the future is uncertain. And it's a reminder that no matter how tough the road is, the destination is worth every sacrifice. As we look at Ed Sheeran's incredible success, we are reminded that every person, no matter their circumstances, has the potential to achieve greatness. The key is to never give up, to keep pushing even when the odds are stacked against you. Because sometimes, the greatest triumphs are born out of the greatest struggles. A legacy of resilience and hope. Ed Sheeran's story is more than just the tale of a boy who became a superstar. It's the story of a relentless dreamer who, against all odds, transformed his struggles into triumphs. From the quiet, isolated streets of Framingham to the grand stages of the world, Ed's journey is proof that the most unlikely paths often lead to the most extraordinary destinations. It is a story about perseverance, about overcoming obstacles that at times seem insurmountable, and about believing in something so deeply that it becomes your driving force, even when the world doubts you. Ed's rise wasn't instantaneous. It wasn't a straight line, nor was it an easy one. There were countless moments when he could have given up. There were years when he had no place to call home, no one to believe in him, and no guarantee that his dream would ever become a reality. But through it all, Ed stayed true to himself. He used each setback as a lesson, each rejection as fuel to push forward, and every hardship as a stepping stone on the path to something greater. And now, as we look at him today, an artist who has sold millions of albums, performed for millions of fans, and inspired millions more, it's clear that Ed Sheeran didn't just conquer the music industry. He conquered his own doubts, his own fears, and the voices that told him to quit. The most powerful lesson we can take from Ed's journey is this: no matter where you start, or how many obstacles lie in your way, the key to success is perseverance. It's about staying committed to your goals, even when the road is long and the results are far from immediate. It's about believing in yourself, even when no one else does. And perhaps most importantly, it's about embracing the struggles, knowing that they are not signs of failure but vital parts of the process. Success is not always about being the fastest, the smartest, or the luckiest. It's about being the one who refuses to give up. It's about showing up every single day, even when it feels like nothing is going your way. It's about taking that next step, even when the future feels uncertain. And it's about remembering that every small action, every ounce of effort, brings you one step closer to your dreams. Ed Sheeran didn't just find success. He earned it through years of hard work, setbacks, and a relentless pursuit of his passion. His story teaches us that no matter what your dreams are, no matter where you come from, there is always the possibility to change your story. It's never too late to begin, and it's never too late to keep going. So the question now is, what's your story? What dreams are you holding on to? And what are you willing to do to make them a reality? Take a lesson from Ed's journey. Don't be afraid to take that first step. Don't be afraid to struggle, because the greatest success often comes from the hardest battles. Keep going. Keep pushing. And never stop believing in the power of your dreams. Because, just like Ed Sheeran, you have the potential to change your life and the world in ways you never thought possible. The world is waiting for your story. Don't let fear stop you from sharing it. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.